The cycle of grief and shock continues as mass shootings tear through the heart of the United States.
Mass casualty shooting. A man walked into service opening fire. 20 people killed.
I made some stupid decisions.
From schools and shopping malls to workplaces and places of worship.
And she couldn't believe that he just went in there and started shooting. He was saying that you're all gonna die.
No corner of society feels safe. The statistics are chilling. More than 488 mass shootings across the U.S. in 2024. How many more lives will it take before real change happens? Today, we continue to explore the grim and urgent reality of mass murder shootings in the U.S., Part 3. On February 7, 2024, a quiet suburban neighborhood in East Lansdowne, Pennsylvania, became the scene of a horrific family tragedy. The day began like any other, but by late afternoon, it would be forever etched in the community's memory. At approximately 3:47 p.m., police received a distressing 911 call, reporting that an 11-year-old girl had been shot inside a home on Lewis Avenue.
58 Lewis, active shooter.
As officers arrived at the scene, they were immediately met with a barrage of gunfire from inside the house.
All right, shots are coming from inside the house. I had 2 officers shot. I have fireboard updated. What is the location of the officers?
2 police officers were struck, one in the arm and the other in the leg, as they attempted to respond to the initial call. The shooter, later identified as 43-year-old Can Lay, had unleashed a terrifying assault on his own family. What began as an argument with his 13-year-old niece quickly escalated into a deadly rampage. He retrieved a Diamondback DB-15 semi-automatic pistol from his bedroom and proceeded to shoot his brother, Shuang Lei, sister-in-law Brittany McLaughlin Lei, and 2 of their children, 17-year-old Natalia and 13-year-old Nikayla. As police surrounded the house, Can Lo continued firing, even targeting police vehicles. In a final act of destruction, he set fire to the home before taking his own. The flames quickly engulfed the structure, hampering rescue efforts and destroying crucial evidence. Tragically, the youngest member of the family, 10-year-old Xavier, succumbed to smoke inhalation in the ensuing blaze. The fire raged for hours, reducing the family home to ashes and leaving the community in shock. In the aftermath, investigators pieced together the horrific events, relying on 911 calls, witness accounts, and physical evidence from the charred remains of the house. The motive behind Can Le's actions remains a mystery. The Le family, who came to the United States as refugees seeking a better life, saw their American dream shattered in a single, inexplicable act of violence. On a quiet Sunday morning in the small town of Sutherland Springs, Texas, tragedy struck as Devin Patrick Kelly unleashed a horrific act of violence that would forever change the community. At approximately 11:20 a.m. on November 5, 2017, Kelly, dressed in black tactical gear and a ballistic vest, arrived at the First Baptist Church in a white SUV. As worshipers gathered for their regular Sunday service, Kelly approached the church, armed with a Ruger AR-556 semi-automatic rifle. He began his rampage by opening fire outside the building, killing 2 people before entering the sanctuary. Once inside, Kelly shouted, "Everybody dies, motherfuckers," as he methodically moved up and down the center aisle, firing indiscriminately at the terrified congregation. The attack lasted approximately 11 minutes, during which Kelly fired an estimated 450 rounds. The victims ranged in age from 5 to 72, including an unborn child. Among the 26 people killed were multiple members of the same families. As Kelly exited the church, he was confronted by Stephen Williford, a local resident and former firearms instructor.
I was home when I heard the shot.
Williford, armed with his own AR-15 rifle, engaged in a brief shootout with Kelly, hitting him twice. The wounded Kelly then fled in his vehicle, with Williford and another resident, Johnny Langendorf, in pursuit.
I said, that's the guy, jumped in the truck with him, and we gave chase.
We hit about 95 going down 539 trying to catch this guy.
The chase ended when Kelly's vehicle crashed off the road. He was found dead in his car, having succumbed to a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The aftermath of the shooting left the community reeling as they grappled with the loss of so many friends and family members in what became the deadliest mass shooting in Texas history. In the years following the tragedy, survivors and victims' families sought justice through legal channels. In 2021, a federal judge ruled that the U.S. government was negligent, as Kelly, who had a history of domestic violence, should not have been able to purchase firearms due to his prior conviction while serving in the Air Force. This ruling led to a significant settlement for the victims and their families. On a scorching summer day in El Paso, Texas, a quiet Saturday morning turned into a nightmare for shoppers at a bustling Walmart near Cielo Vista Mall. Patrick Crusius, a 21-year-old man from Allen, Texas, drove nearly 10 hours to carry out one of the deadliest attacks on Hispanics in modern U.S. history. At approximately 10:40 a.m., Crusius arrived at the Walmart parking lot. He entered the store briefly to buy food, then returned to his car to retrieve his weapon of choice, an AK-47-style semi-automatic rifle. As he approached the store entrance, he began his deadly rampage, opening fire in the parking lot before continuing his assault inside the crowded store.
Busting guns in Walmart right now. AK, somebody's got shot.
The scene quickly devolved into chaos as shoppers frantically sought cover or fled for their lives. The gunman moved through the store, aiming at anyone in his path. In just a matter of minutes, 23 people lay dead or dying, with another 22 injured. After the shooting rampage, Crusius left the Walmart parking lot in his car. He drove a short distance to the intersection of Sunmount and Viscount Boulevard. There, he stopped his vehicle in the left turn lane. In a surprising turn of events, Crusius exited his car with his hands raised. He approached Texas Rangers and an El Paso motorcycle officer who were at the intersection. Without any resistance, Crusius identified himself as the shooter. During his initial interrogation, Crusius waived his Miranda rights and confessed to being the shooter. He also admitted to detectives that he had specifically targeted Mexicans during his attack. What made this attack particularly chilling was its clear motive. Just 20 minutes before the shooting, Crusius had posted a hate-filled manifesto online, ranting about a Hispanic invasion of Texas and espousing white nationalist ideologies. His victims ranged in age from 15 to 86, most of them Hispanic Americans or Mexican nationals. In the days that followed, thousands of El Pasoans lined up to donate blood, and vigils were held in parks and churches across the city. The aftermath of the shooting has been a long and painful journey for the survivors and the families of the victims. More than 3 years after the attack, on February 8, 2023, Crusius pleaded guilty to 90 federal charges, including hate crimes. He is expected to be sentenced to 90 consecutive life sentences, ensuring he will spend the rest of his life behind bars. On a rainy Saturday morning in Pittsburgh, the unthinkable happened. At 9:50 a.m., a heavily armed man entered the Tree of Life synagogue in the Squirrel Hill neighborhood, where 3 congregations were holding Shabbat services. The attacker, Robert Bowers, began his rampage by shooting 2 brothers, David Rosenthal and Cecil, at the main entrance. He then moved through the building, targeting worshipers in different areas. In the basement, he killed Melvin Wax, who had hidden in a closet, and shot 2 other members of the New Light congregation, Richard Gottfried and Daniel Stein, in the kitchen. As the attack unfolded, survivors desperately called 911. One victim, Bernice Simon, made a heartbreaking call reporting that her husband had been shot. Tragically, both Bernice and her husband Sylvan would lose their lives that day. Police arrived at 9:59 a.m., engaging in a shootout with Bowers as he attempted to leave. The gunman retreated back into the building, where he continued to fire at tactical teams.
7-1, shots fired. Give me additional resources. Additional resources, third floor.
Third floor, contained in one room. One operator down.
7-1, suspects talking about all these Jews need to die. We're still communicating with them.
After wounding 4 officers, Bowers was finally cornered and surrendered at 11:08 a.m. In the aftermath, the community was left reeling. The victims ranged in age from 54 to 97, including a married couple and 2 brothers. The attack stands as the deadliest assault on the Jewish community in U.S. history. Bowers, driven by anti-Semitic hatred and belief in white supremacist conspiracy theories, was later convicted on all 63 federal charges and sentenced to death. He is currently on federal death row at the United States Penitentiary in Terre Haute, Indiana. The federal death row is located within a special confinement unit at the Terre Haute facility. This unit, which opened in 1999, houses inmates sentenced to death by federal courts. As of now, Bowers is one of 42 prisoners on federal death row. Another chapter in this dark history leaves us with more questions than answers. Why has the U.S. become an epicenter for mass shootings? And how many more lives will it take before real change happens? The faces of victims and survivors remind us that the human cost is immeasurable. What do you think? Is there a solution, or are we trapped in a repeating cycle of tragedy? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us as we uncover more stories behind this epidemic of violence. Until next time, stay safe and stay informed.